Hey, welcome to EPN from the basement. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool every single day. Again, thanks to being in self-isolation. I hope everybody is doing fine out there. All your family is doing fine, especially all of your parents and grandparents. I know that this is an especially anxious time for everybody in the world right now. So my heart goes out to all of you. We've got a lot to talk about today, so I'm going to dedicate this to every one of our EPN members who subscribes to this channel and gives us a little bit every month. It really helps, and we really appreciate it so much. Thank you, EPN members. Let's get started with your rundown. After months of waiting, Sony has finally given us some new details about the PlayStation 5. Earlier today, hardware designer Mark Cerny hosted a special PS5 video stream to what we're pretty sure is a fake live studio audience. Unfortunately, Mark didn't show off the console itself or any new games, but we did get loads of new tech details. For starters, it will have 8 Zen 2 cores with a variable frequency up to 3.5 gigahertz, along with a custom AMD GPU that clocks in at 10.28 teraflops. That's a bit less than the 12 teraflops promised by the Xbox Series X, but Cerny assures fans that the variable frequency of the console will make up for any shortcomings, with developers having more freedom to decide how to use the system's power. For example, devs will be able to have textures load only when players are looking directly at them, which means less power being dedicated to parts of the environments that aren't being used at the moment. A big part of how they're able to do this is the PS5's new solid-state drive, which means faster load times. Users will also be able to swap out and expand the SSD with bigger and faster drives that they can buy separately.
We will be supporting certain M2 SSDs. These are internal drives that you can get on the open market and install in a bay in the PlayStation 5.
We're still waiting to find out how much the PS5 and the Series X will cost. Expect that info to come later this summer. Yeah, this wasn't quite the press conference that I was expecting today from Sony, and I'm sure that they're acutely aware of that, and they probably had lots of comments on the YouTube channel. I turned those comments off right away, by the way, telling people that this was a lot more, inside baseball and maybe a little drier, to put it politely, than they were anticipating. The fact that there were no games shown, the fact that we didn't even get test renders or examples of what all of this technology is going to allow us to see is underwhelming and a little disconcerting. The biggest issue for me, though, is that it looked like this was an opportunity for Sony to really kind of drill down on backwards compatibility. They did mention backwards compatibility for the PlayStation 4 Pro and the regular stock model PS4, and they're saying that almost all PlayStation 4 games are going to work on the PS5. That is a known quantity. That's to be expected. What isn't expected, and what was almost teased in that infographic that they put up talking about backwards compatibility, is that they left room for the PS3, PS2, and PS1 to be added to that list, but didn't make any mention of classic PlayStation consoles.
We recently took a look at the top 100 PlayStation 4 titles as ranked by playtime, and we're expecting almost all of them to be playable at launch on PlayStation 5.
And I've been thinking about this, and I think I might put a video together, but I think it's extremely important for console manufacturers moving forward to allow for users to access their established library, to make sure that any digital copies of games that they buy for present generations of machines are going to be forwards compatible, meaning that they'll always be able to access them. And I think that being able to play classic games is an incredibly important part of gaming's future. That's, a huge part of why all of this retro video game content is available on YouTube, is because the classic games are still incredibly valuable. There's a lot to learn from them. And frankly, and we'll probably dive deeper into this in a future episode, it's really important for console manufacturers and publishers out there to drill down on the data of what kinds of classic games people are still playing, because that gives publishers and developers an opportunity to maybe come up with a reboot or a whole new way to re-envision some of these classic games that we just don't get to play. This idea of abandonware has got to stop in the video game industry. Give me a hell's yeah in the comments below if you agree with that.
I guess we'll find out soon enough.
All right, at least one of the heroic Avengers has entered self-isolation. After weeks of rumors, Disney has officially delayed the new Marvel movie Black Widow. It was set to land on May 1st, but will now arrive at an undetermined date in the future, and Disney hasn't given any indication how much longer they plan to make us wait.
My plan was to drive us away.
Disney recently delayed the release of another huge movie, Mulan.
Yes, Commander.
Looking ahead, the studio still has the live-action Artemis Fowl scheduled to hit theaters in May, and the new Pixar adventure Soul slated for June. Other studios like Universal and Warner Brothers have begun skipping theaters to release smaller films like The Invisible Man on digital platforms, but it's unclear if Disney will do the same with a film as big as Black Widow. U.S. theater chains like AMC, Regal, and Cinemark have temporarily shut down all locations, while in Canada, Cineplex and Landmark are doing the same.
All right, enough. All of you.
I think big movies are definitely going to be coming to the digital platforms. I think that there's too much marketing already spent on these titles and these dates, which they will have to again re-spend to bring these movies back out to theaters. I think what a lot of these big studios may experiment with is the idea of releasing these movies on digital platforms and letting people rent them at home, and then maybe having a theatrical release later, so kind of flipping the channel and flipping the thing inverse. And I think that's a completely understandable way to deal with this new modern reality that we're facing here. I think people are at home and they would love to be whisked away with some entertainment. They'd like to kind of forget their sort of real world troubles for a minute and, see some of these grand adventures. I have been looking forward to this Black Widow movie for months, and I'm sure you have too. It sucks. It all sucks. But I think that there's ways to kind of mitigate some of that suckiness if, people just sort of bite the bullet and face kind of the opportunities that are before all of us right now. Whether or not theaters are able to recover from this is kind of a story for a later date, but content is still going to get made. Stories are still going to be told, and there's still lots of ways for people to get this material out to people so that we can be entertained. I know it sounds selfish, but there are also a lot of determining factors in there, and one of them is just that, months and months of buildup and expectation that these studios have already rightfully paid for. They might as well recoup on some of that investment.
Natasha, don't slouch.
I'm not slouching.
You're going to get the back hunch.
Listen to your mother.
If Overwatch is one of your favorite games to play during self-isolation, it's about to have something new. Blizzard has unveiled Echo, the latest playable character coming to their hit online shooter. They haven't shown off any gameplay yet, but we do know that she's a highly advanced robot who comes with loads of technology.
Echo.
More details will likely be announced during the Overwatch League games this weekend, which are now being streamed online only, with Blizzard canceling the public events. Echo is the 32nd playable character to join Overwatch, and that's not the only game she's coming to. All the existing Overwatch characters and skins will carry over to the full-fledged sequel, Overwatch 2.
It's beautiful, except for all the killer robots.
That doesn't have an official release window yet, but there are rumors that it will be coming before the end of the year. Overwatch is a game that I haven't played in months. My job is to review stuff as it's coming out on a kind of continuous basis, so I don't have a lot of time to go back and play titles that I really want to, and Overwatch is in that camp. I loved it when I played it. It's been really exciting to see all of the additions that Blizzard has put into it. It's been really exciting to see the growth of the Overwatch League. I'm definitely going to put my attention back to this game, and maybe that's one of the things that I do while I'm in self-isolation is go back to some of these games that I've had to kind of ignore for a while, and maybe I can stream them. Maybe I can hook up with Blake or some of the EPN members or something and stream some of these games and talk about them and refamiliarize myself with them. But this Echo sounds like a very cool addition, and I hope that the Overwatch League games that are being streamed this weekend go off really well. No Man's Sky developer Hello Games is coming back down to earth for their next project. The studio has announced that their latest game, The Last Campfire, will launch this summer, and they've also confirmed that it will launch on the Switch alongside the PS4, Xbox One, and PC. The Last Campfire is a 3D platformer and exploration game based around puzzle solving, with players controlling a cute little character struggling to find their way home through a whimsical fantasy world. As you can tell from the footage, the game looks a lot smaller than the massive and ambitious No Man's Sky, which might be a good thing. The studio received loads of criticism for the troubled launch of that game and have slowly been winning back players thanks to the more recent updates. Hopefully The Last Campfire is a lot less controversial. I have no hate for Hello Games. I enjoyed No Man's Sky when it first launched, and I knew that they would add tons and tons and tons of content to it, and they have. And it's a phenomenal game, especially if you dig space exploration and, cruising around on different planets and, just mining for stuff and mining for the mysteries that are a part of that game. Incredible game. It feels like a series now. It's so big. But yes, they're also an amazing developer that has proven themselves with other games. I love their Joe Danger series, and I'm really looking forward to playing The Last Campfire. I love these guys. And to my point earlier, yet another classic video game is being brought back to life on modern consoles. A new remastered version of the cult classic Shadow Man is on the way. Known as, what else, Shadow Man Remastered, it gives players the entire original game plus content that was cut, all up-res to 4K with better shadow mapping and lighting. The port is being handled by Night Dive Studios, the same team behind the remastered version of System Shock. The original Shadow Man was released on the PC, N64, PS1, and Dreamcast back in 1999. and was based on the comic series from Valiant Comics, thrusting players into the role of a voodoo warrior who protects the souls of the living from the undead. Tommy and I weren't big fans of the game when it originally came out.
It's not a great looking PC game.
It gets
when
better,
you compare it to other games.
It's very derivative.
It has developed a large cult following over the years, though, and you can never have enough restoration of classic games. So yeah, I think it's cool that this is coming back, but yeah, we didn't really like it the first time, so I don't know how much I'm going to dig it as a new game, but it's pretty cool, man. I mean, that's the thing about classic games, because you never know where people are going to jump on the train. You never know, what games people are going to love based on when they come to video games. And so there's this massive library, this 35-year library of really cool titles and franchises and brands, and so many of them are sitting dormant. And that's why, yet again, it's incredibly important for all of the hardware manufacturers to work out backwards compatibility solutions. I play classic games with my kid all the time. Her eyes light up in exactly the same way for the classic stuff as they do for the modern stuff. There's a lot to mine there. There's a lot of fun to be had there. Not just playing the old games, but also seeing, like in this case with Shadow Man, whether these games are worth being brought back to life or not. Now, I could argue whether Shadow Man is, but we'll see. I'll check it out when the remaster hits. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for our rundown today. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, we are back tomorrow with a brand new rundown for you. But if you like this content today, don't forget to hit that like button. You can subscribe if you dig this channel. Please share this video with everybody so everybody knows we're making new content for them every day. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. And until then, play forever.